Hi guys, I'm Allie Hostler. I'm the editor of the Two Rivers Tribune, which is our office is headquartered in Hoopa, but we serve all of the river communities from as far up the Klamath as Happy Camp. We have papers on stands in Happy Camp. We have papers on stands in Eureka, not Eureka. I'm sorry, I got interrupted. Oh, Lewiston, as far east as Lewiston on the Trinity, Witchpeck, Orleans, Hoopa, so Willow Creek. So we're serving the areas on the Klamath and Trinity River in the lower Klamath. We do our best. Right now we're short staffed with just me and one staff writer. That makes it difficult to do the job that we want to do. We want to do a much better job. We want to cover issues more in depth, but we're simply just doing the work of a staff of 5 with 2. So we really encourage people to send in opinion pieces, press releases, letters to the editor. Opinion pieces are a very effective way of saying what you want to say and not having to worry about a reporter taking something out of context or not covering the issue at the depth you wanted them to cover it, or missing a big piece of the story that you think is important. Opinion pieces are a way to get what you want to say in the paper. That's speaking for my paper, but it's also I think that's true for a lot of the local papers. A lot of us are really understaffed and short on variety. We're short on variety. We have a couple of freelance reporters here and there, but not a whole lot of consistent variety. So I really encourage people to do op-eds and opinions. And then once it's published, you can push to have it, a link online that could be shared via social media. And you can push other news organizations to find that piece or use that piece, like say Indian Country Today. You might have wrote an excellent op-ed and published it in the Two Rivers Tribune. You could also send it to Indian Country Today, and then boom, your story just went national. So that's kind of a little tip for getting things in more quickly and having them be more accurate to what you want to say. The other thing I was going to say, press releases are great too, but most people, am I disconnected?
You're on.
Am I still there?
Yep. You're fine.
Okay, sorry. I got a phone call, so it just took my screen away. But so press releases are also effective, but in order to get a newspaper to run your press release verbatim, you sorry, I gotta close that call. You really have to be sure that you're writing it in like third person and including quotes and using short, succinct sentences and including who, what, where, why, when. So it helps, like, use Regina's samples of press releases. Hers are really great. It's best if they're one page. I know it can be tricky when you're trying to explain a complex issue to get it into one page, but that really is appreciated. And have your main speakers have their quotes already written and approved by them, of course. Because a lot of times someone might not run your whole press release, but they might take a quote that you have already approved because they're missing a piece of the story or whatnot. So make sure you are quoting people, make sure you're quoting the appropriate people, find a variety of voices on your topic so that it makes the article or release more robust, and find the stories that aren't being told, like the same issue, but the personal stories or the anecdotes that really, find a variety of those, find a variety of speakers. Oftentimes on these river issues, it's been kind of the same voices over and over and over. And we like to hear new voices. We like to hear a different piece of the story as it relates to the same issue. So let's see what else I could recommend. Always send photos, even if you don't feel like you're a photographer. Snap a few on your iPhone. If you notice that, say you're at an action or you're at the river, say you're at an action, snap a few photos. You see other people snapping photos, ask them to send them to you, so that you can create a photo archive. Because whether you're at an action or not, or whether your press advisory or release is related to an action right then, you can use those photos. If you archive them and save them, you can use them in the future to help build visuals with your story. When you look through a newspaper, if anybody does that anymore, or if you look online, you see a photo helps draw attention, or it helps tell the story. If it was just text, most people skim right by, unfortunately. So draw people in with some nice photos, save photos, organize your photos, so when an issue comes up, you have something to send a reporter, or newspaper, or online magazine, or whatnot. You always want to make sure that you send your highest quality photos. So like if you're using an iPhone, make sure that you say send, largest version or whatnot. So it's reproducible without being, that's the difference between the internet shrinking it to this size versus it coming, this size, or even, able to use it as a front page photo or whatnot. So just be sure to send reporters or newspapers the full size version. Let's see. Know your area. If you are doing an action, say in Klamath Falls, and you want to get the word out to the reporters, sending a press advisory a couple of days ahead of time helps reporters, understand. They put it on their calendar. Oh, there's going to be an action at, wherever, the A Canal or whatever, and you, in that advisory, advisory could be as easy as, one paragraph explaining what's happening, where, when, and you could have a couple of quotes, and then contact, like press contact, like at least 2 people's name and phone number. That way, if the first person isn't available to answer their phone, the second person hopefully will be. So have 2 press contacts, ideally 2 press contacts on each press release, sometimes more. Make sure that their names are spelled correctly so that the reporter doesn't have to hunt down name spelling. I don't know if I'm going too in depth, Regina. I hope I'm being helpful. Let's see. Short video clips. Say you're sending a press release, or you're sending a press, any of those things. If you have short video clips and you're sending it to a TV station or TV news or online news, send your video clips. The news stations love B-roll, especially if they can't be on site. They'll use it. If you have it and you send it, they'll use it. Also, find your team's talent. Like if you're organizing and you have a group of people who are pushing forward an issue, then you're working with this team, right? You're organizing together already. So you can kind of identify who has the skills to do what. And like Regina said, identify a press liaison. If you're short on people on your team, some people might have to take on multiple roles. Work together to draft your press advisory. Like I said, it doesn't need to be long or complex, but it needs to have basic information. And figure out, who can take the photos, who can be in charge of, once it's all completed, sending it to the news agency. And I think Regina had a really good point about how the clock's ticking. We're all on deadlines. My deadlines are every Friday at 5, and I'm a weekly paper. So every Friday at 5, I kind of inventory my content, my news budget. What's in my news budget? What do I have to work with? And that is, that's the deadline. And each weekly will have their own deadline. And then, online news sources, not so much. but I'm sure Taria's publication has strict deadlines. I mean, once we print the paper, you can't call us up on Tuesday and be like, can you include this? We're like, no, it's on the shelves. Sorry. So, just be mindful of people's deadlines, know your community. Oh, where was I at? Klamath Falls. Like, okay, so you're doing an action in Klamath Falls. You might want to look around and see what media organizations are located there. So you're like, oh, there's the Klamath Herald and News. I think I'll call them and let them know we're coming. So you might want to email them your press advisory, follow up with a phone call, and then when they show up at the action, you'll see the little guy with khaki pants, or the young lady, and she'll have her tablet, or she's writing, or they'll have a camera. You'll be able to know. You go walk up to them and be like, hey, I'm Allie from Save California Salmon. Would you like to do an interview? I can set you up with, and then you have your contact with their person and you find them, and it's important to do all those things if you really want to get your story out there. So a lot of this organizing and activism and things that all these groups are doing, I mean, one of the biggest goals is to get the media attention. That's what changes public perception. That's what helps change public perception. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Taria, and then I'm okay. I blocked everything out until 1. So if there are any questions, I'm sticking around for the whole webinar. So thanks, guys.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you. And I'm going to share my screen for your presentation right now.
Okay. Let me know when that's ready, and yeah, I'll get started. But I guess I can start too by just introducing myself. My name's Taria Smith, and I'm a tribal member from the Torres Martinez Desert Kuya Indians in Southern California in the eastern end of the Coachella Valley. And I've been the editor of News from Native California magazine for the past 5 years. My area where I'm at, or where I was, I'm actually back on the res now, but my area had a scheduled power outage, just because of the fires, for preventative measures today. So that's why I'm calling in. But today I just wanted to give you like a step-by-step on how to get your story published in the magazine specifically. This is based on some of the questions that come up when people are asking about submissions and how the magazine works. I have a slide presentation that has deadlines and everything, just so you have a clear picture. And I'll give you a little bit of background about the magazine as well, so you can find out if this is the best venue if you wanted to share your story with us.
Okay,
is the slideshow ready?
Yep, it's ready.
Okay. All right. So you can go to the second slide that's on the background about the magazine. Okay. So the magazine was founded in 1987, and it's published by Heyday Books, and it's as part of the Berkeley Roundhouse program, which is the California Indian Publishing Department with the organization. So the magazine itself, the print magazine, is quarterly. It's a quarterly publication that focuses solely on tribes that are indigenous to California. So we don't cover issues that are outside of California tribes. And so it's just indigenous tribes of California. Sometimes we get people coming in looking for stories for Indians who live in California, but not California Indian people. We only cover stories for California Indian people. So we're the voice, or we could serve as a voice for California Indian people by California Indian people. We primarily have an arts and cultures focus, but we do publish pieces on history, social justice, environmental issues, and an array of other topics. If you could just do the next slide 3, that focuses on environmental issues. Okay, so we're almost always open to accepting environmentally focused stories in the print edition of the magazine, unless we're set to have a theme or something. Sometimes our publications have a theme. We'll partner with other organizations, and so the whole magazine has like a focus. But if outside of that, we usually are very, very open to taking environmentally focused stories. We've even had entire issues that were focused on nature and environment. In fact, it was, I believe, the spring of 2018, I believe, where we had an environmentally focused issue, and it was our most popular issue as far as submissions went. If you could go to the next slide, that's about the print edition of the magazine. So one thing that's important to note is that the publication, News from Native California, it's a submission-based magazine. So this means that the majority of what the magazine of what's published in the magazine is written by community members rather than staff. I'm the only full-time staff member on News from Native California, and we do have 2 other contracted positions for design and for copy editing or proofreading. But so as you can imagine, for the entire state of California, more than 100 federally recognized tribes, and then another 50 or so that are unrecognized. There's with one person that works there full time, and it would be quite a challenge for me to write stories all over. So we really, really depend on people turning in stories to us. The majority of readership, just so you know, are California Native people themselves. So a lot of people have kind of would look at this as being like kind of, preaching to the choir and everything like that. But what's important to note about this is that our readers, whether they're California Native people or not, are people that deeply care about California Native issues and challenges and topics. So you will have a very engaged audience that's willing to take action on something that they feel is important. Let me see, I did that part already, but it's something that you'll commonly find that newsrooms are understaffed. Probably not as understaffed as the magazine, but yeah, they're strapped for content, and so the easier you make it for them and for us, the more likely you'll be to get published. So that means providing written content, just as was mentioned before, right, Allie, photos and that sort of thing. We always need photos. And the higher resolution, about 300 dpi is ideal for us. I mean, we can publish pictures that are lower resolution, but they'll just be really, really small. We have an offset printer rather than a digital printer, so smaller resolution photos, they don't turn up as good. So in addition to news stories, we also accept art, photography, poetry, news stories. I mean, not everybody is maybe inclined to write a news story or a press release or anything like that. And poetry and art can be very powerful as well. We've gotten some really good work from activists about a variety of different issues who've maybe painted a picture or done a drawing that conveys a really powerful message on what's going on in their community or their community's history. So that's something that we take as well. Essays, short stories, open letters, and opinion pieces we've also published. So pretty much anything with a California Native focus we'll accept for the magazine. We have deadlines every quarter, and I've listed them on the slide, and I've memorized them in my head. So for the fall issue, the deadline was August 1st. The winter deadline is November 1st. The spring deadline is March 1st, and the summer deadline is May 1st. Now, these are super, super important. Most of the times, and I really shouldn't say most of the times, but generally we have a little bit of wiggle room, but we've had instances where we've gotten so many submissions that we can't be flexible on the deadline, because if not, then we'll never get around to putting the magazine together because stuff keeps coming in. So please be mindful of the deadlines and everything. They are important. A magazine goes through a whole lot of, it goes through a long process. And once, we started the process of developing the magazine, we can't just throw stuff in. But there are other options if you're outside of the deadline time. And so if you would go to the next slide on the website, slide number 5, Now, for the website, we can accept submissions anytime. I know a lot of folks prefer to be in the printed magazine, but if you're outside of the deadline time, it's, you would have to wait, months until the next issue. And if you have something that's, this is the best option for breaking news and press releases, things that you want distributed right away, it's best to send it in to the magazine through and ask for it to be placed on the website, which happens, every now and then. Folks, ask us, can you post this on the website for us? In the event that you're unable to write a story yourself, we have a couple of writers who can help out if they're available. Again, since it's submission based, we don't have staff writers. These are folks that, that basically take time out of their own jobs and schedules to help us out because they enjoy writing. So if you can't write it yourself or don't have anybody in the community that can write it, we have a couple of people who we can ask to help us out. Also, if you have any events that are going on or things that you want people to know about, rallies, demonstrations, gatherings, all such as that, we have an online events calendar, and we can accept entries for this as well if you turn them in to us. If you go to the next slide on social media, now the magazine, we don't have an enormous following. We probably have like a combined following from all of our platforms of about maybe close to 20,000. But that following, again, as I had mentioned before, they're very, very engaged. So if there's something that you want people to know about, and it can gain a lot of traction, because generally our followers, they'll share things, and you get a whole bunch of views for things that people find engaging. So if you can, I've listed our social media handles on the slide. So if you have stuff that you need to send to us, you can DM us on Instagram, or message us on Twitter or on Facebook, and we'll, if it's as long as it has the California Indian focus, we're happy to give it a share. Okay, so the final slide. If you have any other questions, I've listed the magazine's website so you can find more information. And then I think one of the slides included my email address. If you wanted to reach out, or if you have pitches or any other ideas, you can email me. It's terria@haydaybooks.com. And I'm happy to talk to you. It's been pretty busy, and actually we start production of the magazine in about a week. So if I don't get back to you right away, I apologize, but I will get back to you at some point and try to address any questions that you happen to have. Thank you so much for having me and hosting me here, Regina, and inviting me to be a part of this, Allie. I appreciate it.